All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with the second round of the NBA playoffs set to get kickstarted today, I want to take this time to highlight a series of old rivals, if you will, and that's going to be the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks set to get it on tomorrow for game one of their Eastern Conference semis series. Now, when you talk about Celtics and Knicks, you are talking about two of the oldest NBA franchises who are set to clash for the spot in the Eastern Conference Finals on the line. Now, this is a chance for the Knicks to dance with the prom queen as they spent their off season putting together a team that they hope will beat the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. And now, right now, New York has their opportunity. This is the 16th time that the Celtics and Knicks will meet in the playoffs, with Boston holding the slight edge at 8-7. Now, one question for the Knicks: how much do they have left in the tank after that grueling first round series with the Detroit Pistons? We saw the young Pistons push the Knicks to 6 games before the Knicks were able to close out things. The Knicks rather were able to close out the Knicks on Thursday. So the Knicks do have a couple of days rest before the start of this series. But Boston, on the other hand, has not played since last Tuesday. So of course, if you're the Knicks, you're hopeful that the Celtics are a little bit rusty when the Celtics take the floor tomorrow for game one at the TD Garden. But nonetheless, when it comes to the Knicks, their hopes, if you will, are hinged on their all-star point guard, Jalen Brunson. And of course, as he goes, so do the fortunes of the Knicks. I mean, we saw him come up big once again in the series against Detroit. He averaged 31 and a half points per game, more than 8 assists. And of course, again, Brunson with 40 points in that closeout game against the Pistons. And of course, that big 3-point shot late to send New York to round number two. So granted, when Brunson has the basketball, all eyes for the Pistons, pardon me, for the Pistons, excuse me, the Celtics are going to be keyed on one Jalen Brunson. I'm very interested with that point guard matchup with Jalen Brunson and Drew Holiday, because I've said this before and I will say it again. Drew Holiday is a point guard's point guard, okay, in every sense of the word. And on top of that, he has solid perimeter defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup goes throughout this series. Now, one thing's for sure: the Knicks have to get the most out of Karl Anthony Towns. Uh, Towns had his moments, okay, if you will, in the series over with the Pistons. Of course, in game number three, Towns came up big with 31 points. He averaged just under 20 points for the series. I've talked about this before, and I will say it again. Towns, career wise, his numbers dip in the postseason in comparison to the regular season. That is going to have to change in this series. He's going to have to step up, and he's going to have to make Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford work at the defensive end of the floor. Will he be able to do it? You look at the wings that the Knicks have, and this is going to be important. OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. You bring in a guy like Bridges to, give Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum something else to think about at both ends of the court. Will it work in this series for New York? We've got to wait and see. Mitchell Robinson as a big coming off of that bench for New York. Can he go out there and try to slow down and frustrate the Celtics at the basket? We got to wait and see in this series. But like I said, with Boston, they're the defending NBA champs, and they've been resting since last Tuesday. Like I said, coming into game one, will there be some rust? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, you're looking at a Celtics team. They're a little banged up. The extra time off should help them. But I look at the way that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are playing. And of course, Jayson Tatum had that wrist injury after the hard foul by KCP in round number one against Orlando. He did miss one game, still managed to average more than 31 points per contest in that series. Jaylen Brown is dealing with the knee injury, but still one of the better perimeter players one of the better perimeter defenders, and that length, I think, is going to be a problem for the Knicks in this series. Kristaps Porzingis, such a difference maker for the Celtics when he's on the floor. Why? Because he can play D. He's got that length to block shots. He's going to get boards. On top of that, he can play the post. He can pass. He can hit the mid range, and he can hit the outside shot. When Porzingis is on his game, okay, and of course you know that there's no love lost between Porzingis and the Knicks. That is a matchup nightmare right there, and I think he's going to make Karl Anthony Towns work. Like I said before, it's going to be imperative for Karl Anthony Towns to try to make Porzingis work in this series. Who's going to get the best of that matchup? Then, of course, I talked about Drew Holiday with what he brings to the table. You got Derek White, Peyton Pritchard off of that bench, the NBA Six Man of the Year, then Al Horford, and of course, having Porzingis back, just adds so much depth to that Celtics team because it pushes Horford to the bench and then it makes your second unit that much stronger. Tom Thibodeau has the experience factor, if you will, as a head coach in the NBA. But of course, his counterpart for Boston and one Joe Mazzulla has showed in a very quick period of time he knows what he is doing. The Celtics are arguably the deepest team in the NBA. And this is going to be a huge test for the New York Knicks. We know that they lost their series, their regular season series to the Pistons, but they were able to come back and beat the Pistons in the postseason. They were swept, okay, by the Boston Celtics in the regular season. Honestly, the Knicks did not do well against the NBA's elite teams, and I'm talking about Boston, OKC, and Cleveland during the regular season. And I think some of that has the potential to carry over to the second round in this series. I think the Knicks' best chance, they've got to go out there and they have to find a way to steal one of the games in Boston, whether it's game one or game two, to try to put some pressure on the Celtics. If the Knicks go out there and find themselves down 0-2 coming home to Madison Square Garden for game three, you can forget about it. Boston, nobody takes more 3-point shots than them. Nobody makes more 3-point shots than Boston. And I think it's going to be important for the Knicks to try to make the Celtics work for those shots throughout this series. The 3-point shots are not always going to be there for Boston. I've talked about this before. You've got to find a way to get to the basket. And I think that's where a guy like Mitchell Robinson has to step up. But I think it comes down to the centers. You've got Karl Anthony Towns and you've got Kristaps Porzingis, and I also think it comes down to the point guards, Jalen Brunson, and of course Drew Holiday for the Boston Celtics. The Knicks are going to give it their all. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the bottom line is the Celtics are simply the better team. I think they're locked in trying to get back and win championship number 19. I think the Knicks will give you a spirited effort in this series, but spirited ain't going to be enough to get past this talented Celtics team. And when it's all said and done, I like the Celtics to get to the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Guarantee you it is always greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. That also goes for Instagram, as you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Give me that follow. I guarantee you I'll give you that follow right back. Also, check us out on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Shameless plug, but as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And keep checking out this channel throughout these NBA playoffs, as clearly I've got a lot to talk about for this postseason. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.